This video is to help with the Edgenuity lesson, solving systems of linear inequalities. So the solution when you graph linear inequalities is the entire overlapping shaded region. So when we graph the system, the first thing you do is you just graph the first line. So you're going to have to figure out the y-intercept, the slope. Then from there, you have to decide if it's solid or dashed. Remember, if they have equal to bars on the bottom, that's when you have a solid line. If they do not, so if it's just greater than, or excuse me, less than or greater than, that's when it's dashed. Then you have to decide where to shade. If you have greater than or equal to, you will shade up. If you have less than or equal to, you will shade down. So on this first one here, graph the system. Y is greater than or equal to negative 3x minus. So remember, the slope is the number that's in front of x. So the number in front of x here is negative 3. So that's our slope. And then our y-intercept is the constant, the one that has no variable on it. So negative 1. So what we're going to do is you always start with your y-intercept. So on my graph, I'm going to put a point at negative 1 on my y-axis. And from there, you use the slope. So remember, it's rise over run. If you have a whole number, you just put a 1 underneath it. So from here, this means I'm going to go down 3 since it's negative, and to the right 1. Down 3, right 1. Then we're going to connect our dots. But before we do that, let's check. Is this going to be a dashed or a solid line? There's an equal to bar, so it's going to be solid. I'm going to make that just a hair longer on the top. It goes on forever in both directions. Now, where are we going to shade? This says y is greater than or equal to. Greater than is up. So from here, I'm going to shade up. So that's this side of the line. Like so. Okay, so now let's do our second line. On this one, if there's no number written in front of the x, remember that there's an imaginary 1 sitting there. So our slope is 1. And if I make that a fraction, you just put a 1 underneath. And then our y-intercept is the constant, or the number by itself, is 2. So you always start with your y-intercept. So I'm going to go up to 2, put a point, and from there, I'm going to use my slope. So from there, I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. You don't have to graph so many points. It just makes your line a little more accurate the more that you plot. Oh, on this one, is it solid or dashed? No equal to bar, so it is dashed. Okay, so for this one, we have less than. Less than is down, so I'm going to shade below the line. And your solution set is where you have the overlapping pink and blue. So here's where the solution set is. All of this. And that goes on forever and into a triangle-ish shape. Okay, so one more really quickly. For this one, you'll notice on that first line, we don't have y by itself. And most people prefer to graph in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get this in slope-intercept form if you prefer to graph that way instead of graphing by intercepts. So first things first, I'm going to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So I have 3y is less than or equal to negative 4x plus 9, because that was a positive 9. And the last thing I'm going to do is divide everything by 3. Since we are dividing by a positive value, you don't have to flip the symbol. It should remain as a less than or equal to. So you have to distribute the divided by 3 to both terms. So we get negative 4/3 x plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so on this line, our slope is -4/3. I always put the negative with the numerator. So I'm going to go down 4 to the right 3. And then our y-intercept is just +3. So I'm going to start graph my y-intercept first at 3. From that point, we said our slope was -4/3. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1, 2, 3. This line has an equal to bar, so it is solid. And it is less than or equal to, so we are going to shade below the line. This time I'm going to use a pencil, so it's not quite so confusing. Okay, so then our second line here, oh, this one we also have to get y by itself. So this one though, all we have to do is add x to both sides. So y is greater than +x minus 2. So here, again, if it's just a plain x, there's an imaginary 1 in the front. So our slope is 1. To turn that into a fraction, I'm just going to go 1/1. And then our y-intercept, the number by itself, is -2. So start with your y-intercept at -2. From there, we're going to go up 1/1, up 1/1. This line, no equal to bar, so it's going to be dashed. And we will shade, it says y is greater than, so we are going to shade above. So the part where we had the intersection of the straight line in the squigglies is over here in this section. So this here is our solution set. So all of these points that are over in this highlighted region are solutions to this system. If you plug the point into both of these inequalities, you will get a true statement.